There's only so many retro computers that any one person needs. As long-term viewers of the channel will know, I have quite a few, so it's time to thin that out a bit and move some of them on. The likes of this compact Presario 7150, Pentium 75, 8GB of RAM, fairly generic middle of the road thing, and I have a few other systems very similar in specification, so this one has to go. Now, when I got this, it was missing the floppy drive. Can't sell one of these machines without that, so pulled one of those out of my stash, stuck it in there, problem solved. But there's also another gaping hole around there because there's no CD drive. So random CD drive just pulled out of my spare parts. I thought that would sit in there quite nicely, but no, that drive doesn't work. No problem though, because I have loads of these things. DVD-ROM. Yeah, that's a bit new for this machine here, which is only a Pentium 75. But if you added in an MPEG decoder card, you could definitely watch DVDs on it. That drive doesn't work either. So it reminded me of a comment from one of my videos earlier this year. Do you remember the one where I tried to fix a couple of 5¼ inch floppy drives? Someone at that time asked, could I do a video showing repair of CD-ROM drives? Well, this sounds like a good excuse to do it now. I've got two here that don't work. Let's see if we can fix that. So what's the problem with these two drives? Well, if I just hook them up to power here, and I'm just using my little Molex power brick, just has the one connector on it, but it's perfect for testing this sort of thing. And if we power up the DVD drive first, it just doesn't eject. And then if we change over to the CD drive, it just makes lots of noise. Almost sounds as if a motor in here is running one direction, then pauses and runs the other direction. It eventually does give up, but this thing doesn't eject either. So let's get them apart and take a look. Let's start with the CD drive, because this is the one we probably will wind up using in that compact. This is a Sanyo drive dated September 1995. So period correct for our little system, but we need to get in here and see what's going on. Just take the two screws out of the top. So that should allow this top cover to come off. And then we need to get the tray out. Oh, I was not expecting that. But there we are. Obviously something wrong with the loading mechanism, and I can see it straight away. The belt has snapped. So need to get this out of the way so we can get to the motor where the belt goes on. So to get that out, we need to get this off. But to get this off, this has to come off. And this front lip here, just pull up on it. Simple as that. And then to get this off, you can see a little tab here. And same again on the other side. You just want to push those in. There's one on the top here, so there must be one on the bottom. Yep. And then that comes off. Then finally, to get the tray out, just pull it to its extent, and then this part here, you need to lift that up slightly. That will allow the tray to come out like that. And it might come out. Is it going to? There we are. The only other thing that we can disassemble really, or that we need to at the minute, is this cover. This is what clamps the CD into place. So we'll just take the screw out and then carefully lift that off over its retaining clips. So it does need a clean, but it also needs a new belt between there and there. I bought a bag of just random sized square belts. Hopefully there's one in here suitable for our CD drive. There we are. Right, belt. That seems to be about the smallest, and that's way too big. I probably should have measured this and, you know, ordered one the correct size. What are we going to do here? Yeah, that is way too big. So while I'm thinking about where we're going to get a belt from, let me show you how the loading mechanism works. Well, how it works in this drive anyway. They're all very similar, but they are subtly different. So on this one, we have these teeth running along the bottom of the tray here. And you can see this gear. So as the tray starts to close, running on this, these parts on the tray here will hit up against this, pulling on this bar here, which you can see has teeth on half of it. As the tray fully closes, it will get to that point, at which time these teeth take over on that, and that lifts everything up into position. Lifts the CD up off the tray, clamps it using this. These are magnetized, and it starts to spin. When you press eject, then the first thing that happens is that's lowered. As that moves forward, it knocks our tray forward slightly, allowing that gear to catch on these teeth again, and it continues to open. Well, I found another belt that should do the job, so let's try and get it on here. There we are. And I think the first thing we should do before going to the trouble of cleaning all this is test to see if this drive even works. See if it will try and read a CD. So we'll hook up some power and let's power it up. So you can see the motor mechanism running here now. And if we just wait till it's turning in the right direction and then offer that up to it. Yep, it seems to be working. So you can see the laser trying to seek there and the drive give a little spin. How about we try and introduce a CD to it and see if it'll spin that up. Gonna need this though. You can just disassemble that easily enough and then put that bit back together. Anyone for a bit of rock set? If you just power cycle, it should, when powered up, try to seek. And away it goes. So it would certainly seem that our little CD drive is good. It's really just a case now of tearing it down, cleaning everything and reassembly. I'm just in the middle of cleaning and it is coming up pretty well, as you can see. But one thing that never ceases to amaze me is every time you're working on mid-90s PC hardware, you always cut yourself. I don't think I have ever built a machine of this era and not suffered some sort of injury. It really is just the quickest of cleans though that we're given all this, because it's only an old CD drive. I don't think anyone is really going to care about the state of the internal metalwork of it. The front bezel did come up really clean though. Only issue with that is it's going to force me to clean the front of that compact machine that I'm trying to sell. Well, everything's been cleaned, or it's as clean as I need it to be anyway. So let's just put it all back together. Now we know that this drive does read CDs okay, but if you have one that is struggling to read discs, more than likely that problem is going to be the laser itself is just getting tired. I do have to say though that it's not an issue that I've came across yet in PC CD-ROM drives. I have seen it plenty of times in old 90s consoles that use CDs, the likes of the PS1. It's renowned for its laser mechanisms failing. But in old CD drives, I haven't came across this problem yet. And I simply put that down to the fact that your PS1 was constantly reading CDs, loading games, whereas these things are only used sporadically for installing software. But it's a laser diode, it will eventually burn out, and when it does, that is the end of your CD drive. You might get lucky, and Googling a part number, you might find a new replacement laser. They do still make these for various drives. This one though, that part number, it doesn't seem to be available. If the drive did start giving problems, one thing you can try is to increase the RF voltage through that pot there. You'd only want to give it the smallest of turns, just increase the voltage ever so slightly, which can help the drive read, but all you're doing, as I say, is increasing the voltage to the laser. So in reality, while it might fix it temporarily, the increased voltage will only burn out the laser even faster. This one's fine though, so we don't need to do anything about it. There are various pots on the PCB. There's two of them there, for example. Do not tweak these ever. Never touch these pots. These are factory set. Don't mess about with them. The only one that you can try and play with to get the drive back reading discs is the one on the laser itself. But as I said, if it gets to that stage where you're needing to do that, the drive is effectively on its last legs. So let's reassemble. So the board sits on the plastic tray like that. We need to start reconnecting the wires and bits and pieces. The ribbon cables terminate on these connector blocks here, so it's just pull the front of it forward. Then the ribbon slides into place, and then just close that off again. And then with the ribbons and all cables in place, it's just a matter of wrestling this mechanism here back into place. So it has little tabs on the front and back that need to line up with various slots on the case. Just where we have plastic rubbing against plastic, I'm going to go in with a bit of our white lithium grease. We can put this back on, which clamps the CD into place. There only was one screw in this, and I have screwed the PCB into place on the other side. We can stick our tray back in. So this rail here on the tray, or that cutout in it there, sits over that little notch there. And then I suppose before we go any further, we could test it. All looks good. Let's try it with the CDR this time rather than the pressed CD. That's interesting. It's not reading it. Let's try rock set again. Yep, it's reading that, no problem. Just try another pressed disc that isn't a CD, or it isn't a music CD. Yep, and it's reading that. Back to the CDR. Oh, read it this time. Yeah, it's fine now. Maybe it was just a bit of dirt on the lens. Speaking of which, actually, let's give that a bit of a clean. So it's just IPA on a cotton bud. And we're just gently going to clean this. And let's just try it one more time. Yeah, it's fine. No idea why it didn't spin that up the first time we tried it. So we can just continue putting this back together. Front bezel goes on over the tray and it should just clip into place. And this clips back in. And we can put the lid on. One screw left over. That's always the way when you try a bit of do-it-yourself. Yep, one down, one to go. So the DVD drive, this is a Samsung DVD Master 16E from January 2002. And the problem here is similar to the CD drive, it won't open. This time though, the belt is not broken. I can see it down in there. I think the belt is just slipping. So let's see if we can force this thing open. There we are. That mechanism actually feels quite stiff to work, and I had to use quite a bit of force with quite a big screwdriver there to get that moving. Just take this belt off. Oh, our belt has turned into an egg. It's not exactly round. That's most likely the problem. The belt has stretched. Thing is though, that looks very similar in length to the belt that went in there, and I don't have any more. So I'm not really sure what to do. Is there any way to try and restore these belts? Or maybe try giving it a clean to try and take any residue off it. Something did come off it. Certainly feels tight enough. Maybe a bit of our lubrication in here would help as well. To get this tray out, slightly different than the last one. The wee clip that holds it in place is down in there this time. Just press that down gently with a screwdriver. There we are. Lithium grease. This spray stuff seemed a really good idea at the time, but it goes absolutely everywhere. It's all over my wall now. Nope. Can't bring the mechanism back up. Only comes up so far and then stops and it ejects again. I think it just needs a new belt. That's it closed, but I had to help it up in the position there with the screwdriver. I do fully expect that this drive will work once we get a new belt for it. Can't really test it though, because the magnetic clamp that holds the disc is part of the top of the drive this time. That will not come out of there. Suppose we could try and test it anyway, couldn't we? Be good for a laugh, if nothing else, because this is going to spin up and probably fly off. Well, at least we know the mechanism works and it can read discs. I wonder if we put that into like boiling water for a few minutes, half an hour say, would it come back to its original shape? No, would that soften it again? Suppose it's worth a try. Right, that's been sitting in there for, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour, something like that. The water's gone cold anyway, so let's just dry it off and see if this is going to make any difference. It's still a bit of an egg shape, maybe not just as bad as it was though. Let's see. Hey, has that worked? Close the drawer there and then the mechanism lifted up. Yeah, this seems as if it's worked. That's an interesting looking chip there. Don't see any manufacturer's mark on it. You'd almost think it was like an EEPROM or something, but I don't think so. That's not a window on it. That's like a metallic plate there that presses against the bottom of the drive via that heat conductive pad. Must get kind of toasty, whatever that is. And it's just dissipating heat away into the base of the drive. Let's try our disc, see if it spins up. Yep. I think we've fixed it. But for how long will that belt work in there? That's anyone's guess. Let's just put this back on. Just snap that back on and that should be it. Well, there we are. 2 optical drives returned to working order. The quad speed CD drive, that will be going into the little compact machine and eventually work its way onto eBay. The DVD-ROM, that'll just go back into the spare parts bin for use in a future system. Really was quite simple in the end, wasn't it? Just a set of belts. Broken one in there and that one had just stretched. Be interesting to see just how long that belt survives now after giving it the hot water treatment. But I am going to have to go and order myself more belts of a more suitable size for these drives, because given their age, it is one consumable item, the one thing that is going to fail. Yes, the actual laser mechanisms in both of these will eventually fail themselves. And other than trying to tweak the pot that I was showing you in the CD drive or finding a new replacement laser, there isn't much that you're going to be able to do. One thing I think we could use in the retro community is some sort of optical drive emulator. You know the way we have a Gotek that emulates a floppy drive? Well, why couldn't we have something similar to that, emulating CD or DVD drive? And you mount ISOs in it on an SD card or USB thumbstick or whatever it may be. But who knows? Maybe some clever spark out there in the community will come up with just that. So that eventually when all these old drives do die out, at least we'll be able to emulate optical media. But that is it for now. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Why not hit subscribe if you haven't done so already? Still plenty more yet to come here on CRG. And I'll see you next time.